Here we go, here we go, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is I Love You, Say It Back. It's the podcast. I'm your host, Vic D. This is another special edition podcast on tour. Let's go. Jump on it. Where are the claps at? Again, we got a whole studio going crazy in my headphones. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. This is I Love You, Say It Back. It's a podcast. I'm your host, Vic D. And as you can see, we are joined today with a very special guest. Sitting here today with Dr. Anna Marie Frank inside her business, Happy Whole You, downtown Bakersfield. Everybody welcome Miss Dr. Anna Marie Frank. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's a beautiful Monday right after Valentine's Day. So let's start there. Do you want to talk about how your Valentine's Day went? Anything special? Anything fun?
Yeah. My daughter went to her first sixth grade junior high dance. And then I went home. My husband made me filet mignon, which is my favorite piece of meat. And yeah, we had dinner with my son and played a little Monopoly and then picked my daughter up, Good times.
Mom life.
Yeah, totally.
Did you do your daily sunning? Did you do all that? Or sun
gazing.
Sun gazing, yeah. I know sunning implies something else. Sunning, grounding,
yep.
bare
Started
feet,
my day
all
off that way. Every day, do that.
I love that you do that because we are going to be getting into that conversation and all the things that you find important, just simple little everyday things that people can just simply do starting today, right? There's people think that changing your whole lifestyle and living a more complete, happier, healthier life means you've got to make the most dramatic changes, and it seems unattainable. But one of the things that I think is so important about this interview is that we're going to learn that it's really the little things that add up long term, more so than the things that everybody seems to like these daunting tasks. I got to start running every day. It's like no, it's like there's little changes that you can make that go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. We call that the add-in method. So we add in little things week by week, month by month, and then over a year period, you can have anywhere from 12 to 52 new small habits. And when we build habits on top of habits, that's what's been proven to be the most successful.
I absolutely love that. And I can't wait to get into it. But I want to start here. Talk to me about your business, Happy Whole You, downtown Bakersfield. What is it that you guys do? What services do you guys provide here? And what kind of client are you looking for? Who's the perfect person to come down and check out Happy Whole You?
Yeah, so we really focus on increasing people's brain function, decreasing body inflammation, and building a strong foundation of health. And when you do that, you take care of a whole host of things. We combine high-tech therapies with old-school Chinese medicine, holistic health modalities. So we'll see people that are having hormone issues. They go to the doctor, they say everything's fine, their blood work's fine, but they don't feel okay. People having trouble sleeping, people with challenges feeling anxious, other people that have digestive issues, or people that just want to prevent aging and really just live a vibrant life.
You brought up a great thing. Didn't have this plan, but I love when you bring things up that I didn't have planned. Is there such thing as how much can we really slow down the process of aging? I think this is a female targeted show. So I think women and men, really, you look at all the rich guys, Bezos is trying to find a way to reverse aging and all that stuff. That's actually a fascinating concept because whether we have the technology or whatever it takes now, it's something that when you've got an abundance of money, you can buy whatever you want. Everything you've got, everything you want, you've already bought, you've already have. So they're like, well, I just want to live longer. I want to reverse this. Is there anything that could make that possible?
I believe so. And the cool thing about like our facility is now a lot of the therapies that we have were only in the millionaire, billionaire households. And so now it's more accessible to everyday people like ourselves, which is great. Also, when we think of aging is inevitable, right? This is a part of the biological process. However, I think it's slowing down gene expression is what really is happening, because when we turn our genes on and off based on the environment we put them in. This is why when people choose to smoke, people choose to party a lot, not get enough good sleep, eat fast food all the time, they look older than their biological age because they're putting the body in an environment where their DNA is being damaged and expressing itself. So I think it's more of a, putting the body in the right environment to slow down that DNA damage that can take place and cause disease.
So partying, drinking, I feel like you were just going through my Instagram and just looking at all the
I
things
was just
that
going
I was
through
doing.
my 20s.
I'm actually 17, so I don't know if you could tell I'm 17 years old, but I don't know how old I really look. I would say that 17 is pretty accurate. But anyway, one thing that I wanted to ask you that I think is really narrowing down what it means to you. What does it mean to live the name of your business, Happy Whole You? What does that mean? What is it? Because I could look at it and be like, oh, it just means that I need to watch more comedies because that means it's going to make me happy. No, what does it really mean to be
that's a part of it.
Happy whole lifestyle?
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to be happy, but in order to be happy, we must be whole. So we must be paying attention to the conversations we're having, movement in our body, what we're putting in our body. Are we following our passions, our dreams? Are we doing the very things that we want to do? And so when I found myself not happy and whole in my life, it was because I wasn't working on all aspects of my life. I was only focused on, say, fitness and exercising versus, the abundance of all aspects of my life. So I think sometimes we can get hyper focused and think that, oh, well, if I do this one thing, then I'll feel a certain way. When I think the ultimate hack in life is, why don't you let yourself feel that way now and then fill your life with what it will take to get you there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, one of the things that you bring up is you're talking about not just being healthy on the inside and eating right and doing all these things, but you talk about pursuing your dreams, pursuing your passions, and I don't think a lot of people really take that into consideration on overall happiness. You're stuck. How many people listening to this right now are driving? It's Thursday morning. They're driving to a job that maybe it pays well. I'm not saying there's not great benefits to having that 9 to 5, but maybe it's not your passion. Maybe it's not what you. It's not that with that little girl or that little boy when they were little. It's like, what do you want to do? I want to have a desk job that pays great. It's like, no, we all have these dreams that we along the way somehow kind of lose sight of. But how does that play into your overall, like pursuing your dreams, pursuing your passions, whether that's something that you do that's going to make you money or something that it's a hobby that just brings you happiness?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to age faster, then don't live the life you desire, honestly. And there's quality of life that is so important. And people really forget that our brain tells our body how to age and what to do. So what we think about, what we speak about directly impacts our biochemical makeup. So if somebody is having anxiety on Sunday because they don't want to go to work come Monday morning, and
Sunday scaries,
and then they're going into a job that they don't like, they're going into a job where they don't have community or the relationships, they have this burning desire inside of them to do something different. By the way, I've been there. But they're too scared to make that choice, to make that change, or to leverage where they're at to start pursuing the very things that they desire. I mean, I would love if someday that everybody could just essentially be the person that they were born to be and do the very thing that drives them inside and share their gifts with the world. Unfortunately, we're not programmed that way with how our society runs. But once you step outside that matrix and start stepping into the person you're meant to be, you start to find more vitality, you start to find more energy, you start to find the people that really resonate with you, and your relationships start to improve. And that's a part of the wholeness of life, is you have to live with integrity and you have to live with following your dreams, your goals, and your purpose. And that is integrity with yourself.
And I love that you are the epitome of that example. Like you told me, I know your background. You had a master's, you had a great job, you were teaching, you were doing all these things. And you said, as good as this is, something about it isn't fulfilling me in every aspect. Financially, probably great. All these things. I'm sure the school schedule is pretty sweet. You get the summers off and all that stuff. So you lived it and you were able to leave. It's easy to leave a situation where it's like, I'm not making any money here. It's easy to leave that because what do you have to lose? It's a lot more difficult to leave a situation that you're like, this is kind of what everybody told me I should be doing, right? And I think a lot of people are stuck there. They're like, how do I leave there? Because financially, I'm doing great. My schedule is consistent. I get 3 weeks of vacation a year, baby, which sounds ridiculous to say it out loud. But they're like, yeah, they just added me a third week. But I do love that you were the prime example of a person who was in a great situation but decided to take that leap and bound. Do you have an example? Can you think of anything off the top of your head of a specific client or a specific situation that you helped somebody through where you're like, oh, they were going through this, we worked on these specific things, and then they came out on the other side? Is there anything you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had a client who I was working with him, and he was having a lot of health issues. And the major one was he just thought, maybe I'll just drive my car off the bluffs. That'll be fine. And this is somebody, by the way, who has always been happy-go-lucky, always the smiling person in the face. He got scared because he's never felt or had those thoughts before. These started to show up in his life. He went to a medical doctor and spent a few minutes with him, and they gave him Prozac. So one of the things I'm a big proponent for mental health, and mental health is brain health. And literally 85% of mind-altering medications are prescribed by a regular family or regular practitioner that spends about 7 minutes with you, which is, I feel like that's dangerous. So anyways, he went on this medication and became lethargic. And luckily both of his bosses have been in here. And they said, why don't you go to Happy Whole You and just do a session with this lady? And his company actually paid for it, which is cool. We have some local businesses where they pay for their employees to come here when they're going through a hard time or just overall well-being. So did a session with this gentleman. And, you and I have talked. I don't just look at the physical biochemical aspect of people. I'm listening for how they're thinking and speaking about their life. I'm looking at their body. I'm taking in a lot of information.
Reading their eyes.
A lot of information beyond what you may think on the surface. And in a nutshell, within 30 days, his depression is gone, completely gone. He's back to who he used to be. But you know what the bottom line thing was? Not just some nutrient deficiencies, which those we handled very quickly and easily. The root of the issue was he thought by the time I'm 30, I should be making $30 an hour. There was a whole mindset piece attached to this. This is where our minds are very important, and they can make us ill. And so we had to unpack how he was thinking about his situation. And then we worked through kind of like the vocabulary, the words for him to show up and talk to his boss and say, hey, I need this X amount of raise. I need to also know where I'm going in this company. I'd like a pathway. And we worked all that out within 3 sessions. And he's making the money he wants. He doesn't want to drive his car off the bluffs anymore. He's literally like super happy, and he comes in each month just to do maintenance stuff. And yeah, I mean, this is amazing. This is a 30-year-old man who things could have looked very differently with him had he stayed on the medication and not done the fundamental things that need to be done to heal that human soul that is calling out to us, that is telling us there's more, there's things you need to do, and you need to speak up for yourself.
I'm a big person that so much of our happiness is determined by our expectation, right? Society tells you should be this. I can't tell you how many times I beat this drum where it's like, you may not be where you want to be in life, but so much of the societal pressures, if you're a woman, again, I always look at things through the eyes of a woman. Oh, I'm 30 years old. I'm supposed to be married. I'm supposed to have kids. I'm supposed to blank, blank, blank. There's all these boxes that you're supposed to have by certain ages. And in Bakersfield, it just so happens that those ages, I feel like, are a little bit more accelerated. So if you're like in a bigger city like Los Angeles, New York, all these bigger cities where they're more business driven, women and just people in general have kids a little bit later in life. In Bakersfield, it's like, if you don't have a kid by 22, what's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Well, I think this is the problem is that we're comparing our unique soul blueprint in our life to other people around us. We're not supposed to be like each other. We're supposed to create the life that we desire. And we've been led to believe that to do that, like, you would have to sacrifice so much. And who do you think you are to do that? And I was in that situation where I followed my parents' goals and dreams for me and found myself in a career that it was okay. I mean, it was good. I enjoyed what I did. I was good at it. I got paid well. I stayed there for 18 years. And then I said to myself, like, what do you really want? Right? So we can find ourselves down the road living somebody else's goals and dreams, and we're okay with it because, you know, we're pretty good at it. We make some money or whatever. And we make up a excuse in our mind that allows us to stay where we are and not take action to go where we need to go because it feels uncomfortable. It's not safe. And it's like, it goes against that internal safety that we have.
And I just think that sometimes we try so hard to. The safe place is no one's going to judge me for this. I have the job. I have the 8 to 5. I have the, you know, whatever it is. And this is the place where I'm supposed to be rather than where I'm happy. But no one's going to give me crap for where I am right now. I'm seen as a success story when inside I'm dying. I hate this.
Yeah.
But visually, mentally, or I mean, to the outside world, I'm a success story. I look good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you know what? When we start stepping up and stepping out in our life into the person we're meant to be, we make other people feel uncomfortable. And when we make other people feel uncomfortable, they tell us all the reasons in the world not to follow our dreams. Be careful because what are you going to do for insurance? What are you going to do for retirement? What are you going to do? You've been there 18 years.
Girl.
I mean, and this is the thing, and this is where we need to look at our inner circle. Who are you around? Are the people you're around speaking to you and you're having conversations about what's possible, about what your dreams and your desires are? Like, I have so many people in my circle where we are constantly like, what else can we create in Bakersfield, beyond Bakersfield? Like, what is it we truly want? Oh, you want that? Okay, yes, sister, I got your back. I know somebody to connect you with who can help you with. Versus there's also, you know, when we put ourselves in these situations where it's competition over collaboration, we don't win. And so we need to put ourselves in winning relationships with people who, one, don't have jealousy, who want to see you thrive and get lifted up and will speak highly of you in a room that you're not even in. And I just think about the employees I have here. We have women that work here, and I can't tell you how many employees I have hired that are like, this is so cool to work like with other women in an environment where there's like no drama. And I'm just like, well, yeah, of course there's not. Like, that's not even an opportunity in this space because I don't even tolerate that, but I don't even have to say anything about that because I lead by example. And so I think a lot of women can get caught up in keeping up with the Joneses, and I got to look a certain way, I got to behave a certain way, and they're not surrounding themselves by other people that will lift them up, and it's really sad. But I mean, I've been there, so you know, I can reflect back on that and where I'm at now and understand.
Oh, I was just going to ask about that. When you made the leap from, again, the job that Anna Marie's doing great, she has a job,
Yeah.
she's got
six figures. 6-figure income, only working 203 days out of the year, all the benefits, retirement, time off with my kids. At one point it was my dream job and it was like everything I always had wanted. I thought, oh, I'll retire doing this. And yeah, people told me I was crazy.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. And I kind of went through that too. When I left my position, I was at a place where people come from other places to get there and they just stay there. They're like, that's the destination spot. So when I decided to leave, they were like, well, hold on. Are you sure about this? And I was like, yeah. And it's okay to outgrow certain situations.
You're supposed to, by the way, every 2 to 3 years, we should be turning a new leaf. We should be growing. We should be evolving. And even that may be in a company, that may be in an organization, but stepping up and going outside the norm and like going outside that box, like everybody should be doing that.
I could not agree more. How did you handle some of the pushback that you got from maybe some of your friends who have those regular jobs and again, just doing great, but just not with the entrepreneur? And I'll tell you that I'll be the first person. I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. Now I'm doing more entrepreneurial stuff, but I was always the guy who was just looking for the better job simply because I loved what I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was unhappy looking for the best paying job. I love what I did. I love what I do. I love radio. I love podcasting. So it wasn't like I was looking to do anything different. And I was like, this is my passion. I'm good. I'm happy with what I do. But now that I leaped out and do my own thing, I look at the world a little bit different. But what would you say to someone who's trying to make that jump, but they're surrounded by people who are living more normal jobs, stuck in their 9 to 5 and things like that? What would you say? How would you tell them, like, hey, this is how you handle these situations? Because I've been through it, and it was really difficult. Like, I still think about it. It's like a dark time. I lost friends. People I'm not as close with, simply because you hear about the things that they're saying to your face, but then it's great to you, but then you hear about other things that are like, oh yeah, they're saying you're an idiot for leaving that job. Like, what, how would you handle it? What would you say to someone like that?
Well, to answer the first question, what people do I have push back? I have 0 friends that push back. All of my friends.
I thought you were going to say, I have 0 friends. I was like,
no.
oh, Jesus Christ. I'll be your friend. Don't worry about it.
Like, literally 0 of my close friends said, what are you going to do about this? Da, da, da. It all came from people that are outside and would ask questions and just in passing. Right. And so, so I want to say that because I have some really good friends that were like, oh, when are you leaving? We're waiting for you to jump. We're here. We're holding your hand. We're right next to you. So, but that's something I created. And, but there have been times in my life where I didn't have those types of friends and I had to take those jumps by myself, and it felt more scary. It felt a lot harder. One thing I remember, like when I was writing my book, my brother, he said to me, he's like, why the hell would you write a book? Like, people don't make money writing books. And I was like, well, I'm writing this because, one, I want to write it. I want to write it for my kids, and what I realized with that comment was, like, anytime we're doing something extraordinary, people are going to question that. So now when I'm up to something extraordinary and people question it, I just use that. I've programmed that in my brain that are like, yes, you're on track. You're doing the right thing. So I just flip it in my mind. But for the people that are like surrounded by others that are giving them the fear, the worry, well, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? I think with that, you just really trust yourself, and you need to trust in the process of life. And it's like, and you can even say, I don't know yet, but I'm going to figure it out. You have to have enough confidence in yourself and believe in yourself to go and do it alone. And when you have that confidence, when you're ready to take that step with nobody by your side, that's when you feel like almost like this sense of calm, but fear at the same time. That's when you know you're on the right track.
If I were to ask you, because you guys do all kinds of services and all kinds of things here, do you feel more fulfilled? What's more fulfilling to you? Is it helping someone take that leap out of a job that they hate, of a situation, relationship, whatever, that they are no longer happy and is no longer serving them, or healing someone internally, whether it's curing their anxiety or thing? What's more fulfilling? Which one do you have a preference? Do you have one that you're like, you know what? That one I go to bed and I'm like, I'm bragging to my husband about that one.
Well, they're not any different. They both go hand in hand. You give me the person, like I was talking about earlier, that didn't have the words to speak up to the boss, that didn't know how to ask for a raise. And his symptoms showed up as feeling depressed. His symptoms showed up as not sleeping well. We took care of the depression. We took care of the insomnia and the not sleeping, and he got the raise. So when we are not living in alignment and we're struggling and we have conflicting beliefs going on in our mind, it shows up physically in the body. So you bring me any person and they can just tell me about their physical symptoms they're having. I can tell you what's going on most likely in their mind and what they're struggling with. Or you give me somebody that's struggling in their mind, I can project down the future of what's probably going to show up physically for them as well.
What I'm gathering is it sounds like there's a whole lot of, for everything that you do, there's going to be a consequence. Now, is it immediate? Maybe not so. But there's the whole like kicking the can down the road situation. Like you can keep kicking that thing down, but eventually it's going to run into a wall where you're not going to be able to kick it down the road much longer. So
Yeah.
everything we do, small or big, is going to have a consequence, good or bad. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think one of the great conversations we have. You know what? It's the little things that will add up to something great, or it's going to add up to something really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're either moving forward in your life or you're moving backward. You're either healing the body or you're causing dis-ease in the body. There's no middle ground. Like you're either inertia is going one way or the other. And and the two are not separate. So that's why I think we get such outstanding results here, is because we're not just looking at one thing. We're looking foundationally at someone's entire life to figure out how do we best support them.
I didn't want to do this, but I am going to ask you because we did have a conversation about you do an incredible thing that is like eye reading. And I was really nervous about this, but I said, you know what? The people who listen, the people who've followed me in radio and known me for, we live public lives for very long times. Can you read my eyes, or can you read and tell people only the nice things? Again, we'll cut this all out if you say anything mean. But go ahead. Go ahead.
So when I look at your eyes, I can tell that you can have issues with your skin, sinuses, allergies. Also, you could use some liver detox, and you definitely need to be always supporting your digestion, your gut health.
Okay, that's enough. Cut that camera, man. There was not one nice thing said in there. There was no like, I can tell that you do a lot of running. I could tell that you're very active in your physical life. But that's a reality. No, I'm kidding. But it's pretty incredible that you could do that. So within seconds, literally, you just kind of like looked at my eyes and you were able to how long does it take to figure that out? Can you like teach me to do that? Like, I want to read people's eyes. Or you know what else I would do? You know what I would do? I would just tell people like, yeah, I can do that. And then just say something very confidently and be like, you have issues with asthma. And they'd be like, I live in Kern County. How long does that take to actually look to learn what you're looking for?
The eyes for iridology was about 10 months of studying to really kind of narrow that down. But then I also look at like the tongue, I look at your face, I look at the fingernails, and then I also have this, I don't know, it's a gift I've been given, a unique ability to like really just like, it's a kind of like a knowing. Some people call it like a medical intuitive, but I just kind of know what the person in front of me needs. It's wild. I can't explain it. It's gotten a lot stronger over the last few years. And I just have to trust in it. I mean, I know that God's given me a gift, and, I just have to follow my intuition, and I combine that with science. I combine that with my, school training, and as well as what God has given me as a gift. And it's magic.
You bring up something very interesting that I don't want to get too far into it because it can get very weird. But where do you balance the whole like science versus God? Because sometimes usually people are like, oh, I'm either on this side or this side. You just talk about God giving. I believe in God too, but I also believe in other things. And I think, like, where do you balance that?
Well, first of all, there is something way greater than all of us. And if you want to go to science, you can go to physics, right? There's quantum entanglement, quantum physics. And here's the thing. If we look at our physical bodies and we go inside every cell till we can't go any further, the only thing that's left when we get to the end is energy. It's called quantum atoms. So our bodies are actually more energy than they are physical matter. And this is physics. And everything affects everything. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So this is very interesting stuff for me. I love talking about this whole energy and biology aspect because they're not separate. They go hand in hand. But we live in a culture of where if we can't touch it, if we can't feel it, then it's not there. And we know through science that the thoughts we have and the words we speak carry vibrational frequencies that can actually program water. So a scientist from Japan, Dr. Emoto, actually published this work where water has consciousness. So what does that even mean? So you take a glass of water and you speak nothing but love and light and kind words to it. And then you freeze it, and it freezes in this beautiful snowflake formation, and it is vibrant, full of color. Then when you look at it under a microscope, by the way, then you go over to this other glass of water and you give it nothing but hate, anger, jealousy, and it all freezes in a chaotic form, and it has low energy under a microscope. Now, if your body is 70% water, what are you programming to your body based on your words that you speak and the thoughts that you have that are not tangible? We can't grab a word, we can't grab a thought, yet they're physically impacting the body, which we can touch, which we can feel. Isn't that wild?
It's incredible. And I've seen those videos where they do, have you seen they have little water fountains or something? They play sweet music to it, and then it creates these beautiful vibrations. Yeah. And so it goes hand in hand, right?
And it's sand on a plate with music, it forms in this beautiful formation. It's it's so that's physics, that's energy, but that's God. I mean, you could call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it whatever you want. But is there a difference between science and God? Well, yeah, because science is on man. We think we know. We didn't even know that the brain was essentially plastic until 40 years ago, meaning you can create a new brain at any point in your life because of neuroplasticity. We didn't even know this till 40 years ago.
I didn't know that till 4 seconds ago.
We didn't even know in the last few decades what fascia was in the body, which is this amazing system that interacts with every single other system in our body. So we sit here and think that we know everything. We only know a little bit. So yeah, how does science and God go together? Well, I think God is everything and all the things and knows all the things. And we're sitting here trying to get to that level. And we think based on this stuff called science that we're doing it and that we can override it and we can say there's no such thing. You're bananas, by the way. So yeah. And spirituality and God, the universe, all of that is different than religion. Cause some people I was raised Catholic, but some people can get tied up with religion, but you get tied up with religion based on the meaning you gave it. So that's based on the thoughts that you have around it, which is going to impact your physical body.
I want to ask you this because I think it's an important thing to ask. I don't know. I've seen old movies and long before you and I, if you look at old videos and things like that, it used to be glamorous to smoke on airplanes. Smoking cigarettes, it was big in Hollywood in the 20s and the 30s. They were like, hey, come on, knocker. They're smoking, drinking whiskey and all these things. Well, later on, we find out that smoking is actually incredibly dangerous. It's harmful for not only your lifespan, but also your skin. We can go into a million things that is bad for. What's something in 2025 that we're doing right now that in 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, who knows? We're going to realize, holy shit, that was actually incredibly hurtful to us. What's something we're doing right now that someone may be doing as they're listening to this that you're oh my goodness, in 10 years, we're going to look at it and be like, yeah, that probably wasn't great.
Yeah, that's such a good question.
Thank you.
Well, I think the obvious thing for me is cell phones, electronics, and putting them in front of children when they're 6 months, 7 months, 8 months old. We have more kids with autism and cognitive and neurological issues now more than ever in history.
Absolutely. Do you think, is there a correlation to anything that we're doing, screen time or anything like that? Or is it just the spectrum's a lot wider than it's ever been?
It's definitely wider, but I was really fortunate to interview an amazing doctor, Dr. Robert Melillo out of New York. And he has what's called the Melillo method. And he works with a lot of children with ADHD and autism. And he's reversing autism and symptoms of autism. And it was really fascinating because it struck me with, kids have milestones. And when we think of milestones, I have 2 children. And the biggest milestone when, I had my children was, did they latch? Did they crawl? And did they walk? And really, your milestones start when you're in utero. Did you turn head down and turn the appropriate way to go down the birth canal? That is one milestone. Did you go through the birth canal? That's another milestone. Yes. Did you latch? Another milestone. So there's all these other little milestones that aren't taking place. Maybe, we're getting more C-sections than we have. Children aren't turning down. They're not going down the birth canal. And again, C-sections, there's emergency C-sections, which are, yes, needed. But these are being scheduled like, convenience for the doctor and convenience for the mother. And, but this is taking from that child's natural development. So if we're taking from their natural development and then we're giving them food way too early before, we're feeding them regular foods before 1 year old and all of this, we're putting the body at risk for stress. And then the toxicity in the environments as well, what we're eating, the stress that people are under. And then now we're going to get them vaccines. And by the time we get there, I've had a lot of clients that come in and their children were talking and then they were vaxxed and then they're no longer talking, or they're not talking as well, or they started to have behavior issues after they went and got all these vaccines. And the other challenges is some of these vaccines are, there's multiple vaccines in one shot too. And so it's just a matter of, kind of understanding this and, just using common sense, and asking, well, why? Why are more kids having autism than ever before? Why are we having more mental health issues and neurological issues than ever before? And so then, and the other thing I was saying with the milestones is we're putting these electronic devices in front of these kids. And so they're not interacting with real humans. And then this could be an issue with their developmental delay. So I think in, the next few years, we're going to, it's already started, but we're going to start saying like, these electronics that are raising these kids is not okay, because we have this huge impact of mental health issues. Okay. So that's a long-winded question. So I think what we will regret in the next 20 years is the amount of electronics that we are using and putting in front of our children that don't even have a fully developed brain, and our brains don't fully develop till we're around 25 is what we believe right now. And then I also think that in the next 5 years, people are going to be introduced to not just wearables, but things that are going to be implanted in the body that have AI in them. And the moment we start doing that and start giving our own humanness and DNA away to AI, I think it's a very slippery slope that we will regret with years to come.
Where do you say, outside of inside the body, where do you have any opinions on AI when it comes to helping with technology? Or are you like against it? You're like, hey, this is just going to be a thing that snowballs into something that becomes more powerful than humans somewhere down the road? Or do you just like, it's helpful with what I do? And do you have anything?
Yeah, I think there's some things that can be helpful, like Neuralink and some stuff that Elon Musk is working on in terms of like, people that are paralyzed. And, there's so many things that it can help, but like, we're not even, using stem cells to the capacity that we could use and having insurance cover that. Yeah. Right. So it's like, what are we doing here? We're going to skip basic stem cell and PRP and some of these things that our bodies naturally make that we can use to heal the body. And we're going to skip right to AI. That's wild.
I do love the stem cell. I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, and they're going out of the country to get this stuff taken care of, which is, it blows my mind, where it's like, you see so many great benefits and so many people talk about like, I went this and I did this, but here it's not as popular. It's not covered or whatever.
No, it's just not covered. It's not that it's not popular. It's that it's not covered by insurance. And so for someone like, say, because there's doctors that I've worked with that do stem cells. I've done stem cells. I've done them in joints. I've also done them systemically in my body. And I think they're great. I think they're fantastic. The challenge is you can go out of the country and get more bang for your buck in terms of the stem cells. If you're using your own stem cells, they can actually pull them from the body. They can grow them. So you have even more of a benefit from it. And in the US, you can't do that. And it's costly. So one joint can cost you $5,000. You can do an IV of stem cells, and that can cost you anywhere from, $2,500 to $10,000. And so, it's crazy. It's crazy because if we could pull stem cells from our own body and we can pull them out and we can allow them to grow and we can re-inject them in the body to help with healing, why is that not something that is normalized and covered by insurance? I don't know.
I'll tell you
but
why.
also herbs aren't either. And so many things that nothing I do would be covered by insurance because we're not, quote unquote, we're not medical, which is fine, but we are 1,000% preventative, and, we restore the body's foundations of health. I will say this though, for anyone listening, your doctor can write you a prescription for food, for vitamins, for nutrients, and you can use health saving plans, Flex 125 plans. This is money you save for uncovered medical, and that can then be covered. But this isn't, again, normalized. So we actually have a referral sheet here that we give to clients to bring to their doctor, that their doctor can sign for them to do therapies here, for them to get, nutraceuticals and all of that. And if the doctor writes, yes, this will benefit you and your health, then you can use tax advantage dollars to pay for that.
One of the things that you brought up and you said, well, I don't know why. I'll tell you exactly why it's not, because I feel like, and this isn't just me, I've seen this in so many examples and people I know personally. And, now people that I see like Dana White, the CEO or president of UFC, and he talked about this and it really struck me. And it's been striking me more and more lately, where he was talking about, he was doing an interview with someone and he's basically saying like, look, if I ever need surgery, I'm going to go to a doctor. You got some of the best medical professionals, broken leg, something, ruptured, you need to repair something. But he also went on to say, this is the part that hit me the most. He said, but I will never go to a general doctor for my general health. He started going to a guy who does more of holistic stuff, more
Gary
natural
Braca.
stuff. Yes. And he's like, I've never felt better. I lost weight. I'm feeling healthier. The heart, the cholesterol, the blood pressure, all that stuff improved drastically. But when he went to the doctor for this stuff, they just prescribed him another pill. So it seems like it's not really the goal of the doctors here to necessarily heal you as much as it is to put you on the next prescription drug.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing the best they can with the tools that they have and what they've been trained for, right? So Western medicine does a great job when there is an emergency acute situation. Absolutely, hands down, they have done a fabulous job with that. But yeah, when it comes to foundations of health, Western medicine fails completely. Even my own mother, what I've noticed when I work with women is as they're going through perimenopause and menopause, their cholesterol jumps up. So their cholesterol is jumping up, which cholesterol is very protective of the brain and has some really, it's really good for the body. We need cholesterol, right? But it gets such this bad rap. And so my mom, she lives far away, and her doctor tells her you need to go on, the Lipitor, the statin. And I talked to her and she's like, well, I'm just going to do it for a little bit. And I'm like, okay, but these are the side effects. These are the things that can happen if you are on them. Since your doctor told you need to be on it, legally, I can't tell you to not go off it, but would you be open to exploring other things? So anyway, she went on it for a little bit of time and decided that the brain fog that she was having from being on it and the side effects weren't that great. So then she chose to go off of it. And she had told her doctor she was going to go off of it. And then they're like, oh, you're going to have these issues, blah, 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 use fear, and scared her. And then I put her on this simple plant stem cell. This plant stem cell, it's like $49 for this plant stem cell, and it lasts you 2 months. So I told her, okay, take this. I think we doubled her dose for the first 3 months of it. And anyway, she went back to her doctor. It was 6-9 months later, and they tested her, and her cholesterol is completely fine. And it was funny because they're like, oh, yeah, good. And the nurse was like, oh, do you want us to refill your prescription? And she's like, oh, no, I haven't even been taking it. And then the doctor comes in, is like, "Well, do you want your prescription refill?" And she's like, "No, I haven't even taken it." He's like, "Oh, okay. All right. See you later." Like, didn't even want to know. Like, well, what have you done? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my curious brain, and whenever I have a client, I'm like, "What have you been doing? Or what's worked for you?" Like, it's so important to find out how is the body responding to the environment you're putting it in, and how the body responds to that environment gives us so much data and so much information. Why would we not want to know that information? So, so generally speaking, like even with my own mom, that was just like a very small, simple tweak we made. It got her off a medication, and her cholesterol is completely fine.
That's incredible. Well, while we're on the subject of modern Western medicine, or just simply things that people take every day, very popular ones, I want to play a little game with you. You want to play?
Okay.
All right, let's play.
Okay.
I brought this. I hid it from you so that you wouldn't be able to see it.
Oh, you put it on our shelf. Okay.
So I'm going to give you this. This is a die. It's right. So it's got a bunch of things on it, and you're going to roll it. And when whatever it is that pops up, you have to give me your thoughts on it. Okay. These are popular things that people take, or kind of trendy little weight loss things.
Yeah.
You'll see. So go ahead. You can do it on here, or you can do it on here, wherever.
Okay.
You're going to roll that. How do we feel about fasting?
I think fasting can be good. I think women and men need to fast differently. So if you go on the same protocol as your spouse or your partner, and you're wondering why they're losing a bunch of weight and you're like stuck over here, that's because women are not meant to fast for long periods of time, maybe max 12 hours. And
that's not even a fast. That's just a bit in between big meals. That's what it is.
Well, again, women and men biologically we're different. So yeah, fasting for men, doing the 18-hour fast, 20-hour fast, great. For women, absolutely not. 12 hours is going to be our max, and or else we're not going to feel right.
Okay, so let's spin that thing again. Okay. There's some good ones on there.
Oh, microdosing mushrooms.
Microdosing mushrooms.
Yeah, so mushrooms are really powerful. Fungi is really powerful, what it does for the brain, whether it's a psychedelic or whether it is just like lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps that don't have the psychedelic effects. I think that mushrooms are really, really good. And I'm not against it.
I love it. Let's wait. Okay. So now this time, hold up to the camera. So oh yeah. No. It landed on that one.
Ozempic. Okay.
Yes. Oh, how do we feel about Ozempic? This was the one I was looking forward to the most.
Well,
it's hot. It's trendy. It seems that I shred away and I'm losing it, and everyone in Hollywood is doing it. Talk to me about Ozempic.
So what's scary to me is that when they did the studies on the Ozempic and the weight loss, they didn't say what type of weight people were losing. So
not all weight is the same.
No. So sarcopenia, when you're losing muscle mass, this is very dangerous, especially as we're getting older and we're aging. Not to mention when we're not eating enough nutrients and we slow down the digestive tract so much, we're not absorbing the nutrients that we need. I think this is one of those that it's not going to take 20 years and we're gonna be like, why did we do that? But this is one that like, I think people are starting to wake up to it because it's wild and it's super expensive. And again, everything has a time and a place. But when you have people, that are not, 200 pounds, 150 pounds, 100 pounds overweight taking this, I think that could be very dangerous.
All right. Okay. I love that you tied that one back into what we're going to be worried about in 10 years. They'd be like, holy, remember when they're all taking Ozempic? Well, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give it another roll.
Just see when I have it done?
Just some of those that you feel strong about, because I actually want to cover all of them.
Okay.
I just thought the die would be fun.
So we live in Bakersfield, and
which is an allergy medication.
And an antihistamine. So this is the challenge with that. People that take antihistamines for long periods of time, this has been linked to dementia.
Me. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say?
So what happens is the antihistamine blocks acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter in our brain that is responsible for memory and learning. So if you're taking a Zyrtec or a Claritin, a Benadryl every single day for years, you are literally blocking acetylcholine to help you remember things and learn things. So doing more natural things, I think, is really, really important when it comes to allergens.
Quick example of what's a natural thing that could help you there.
Well, one, you can do local honey, like a little teaspoon every day, like it's medicine. Right here.
I think I've seen it. Like, where did I see it? Yeah, no, I've seen
there.
it.
The other thing you could do is pay attention to foods that you're eating that you are having a reaction to. So we'll do kind of like an elimination experiment with clients where we test for food sensitivities. And so when we have, all these sensitivities going on in the body is going to have histamine responses. So we just limit the histamine responses by taking things out and just paying attention. What's causing the histamine to begin with, right?
Yep. All right, let's hit another one. What else do you like on there?
Oh, Advil. Yeah. Okay. So, in terms of Advil, I was a D1 athlete and played a ton of sports when I was in high school. I ran.
Oh, you're a runner.
I was a runner. Yeah. But basketball and volleyball are like my thing. Yeah. I could have done D2 basketball.
You're a hooper. What position?
I was point guard or shooting guard. I could do either one.
Okay. Well, how do you feel about Caitlin Clark? That's another podcast.
I know. We'll
Let's
go
get
there
back to
later.
that.
Okay. Back to Advil, squirrel. Okay. So, so what I think the challenge is we're using this over the counter like it's candy. Oh, you're sore, take an Advil.
It actually tastes like candy too. It's delicious.
Oh my gosh.
Not that I would know.
Or you hurt your knee, take an Advil. Or you got a headache, take an Advil. Again, this is the body giving a physical response to tell you something's up, and it's giving a signal to the brain. So the moment you take an Advil when you sprain your ankle, you're blocking the signals going to the brain that are saying, hey, send stem cells, send healing properties. We don't send inflammation on purpose to heal the injury that just happened. And we're blocking that signal to reduce inflammation right away. So, the whole icing after you get an injury, ice and elevate and all of that. Now it's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that as soon after an injury as what we originally had thought, because you're shutting down those responses. Okay, next one that I haven't done, melatonin.
Melatonin. I occasionally take melatonin.
I love melatonin.
Okay. Oh, thank God. I take it all every day. Every day I take it. I had to be safe here. I was like, there's things that I'm scared to admit until you say it's okay.
This right here, this Sleepy You, this has a little bit of melatonin, a little bit of GABA, L-theanine, all that. Melatonin is actually, there's some research how it helps with anti-aging. And so it's good for anti-aging. And so when it goes back to that microdosing, right? The dosage matters. But yeah, I'm a fan of melatonin. I take it.
Is there such thing as too much, like doing it every night, or because technically it's one of these things that your body creates naturally,
right? Well, and I think anything. So whenever there's something that the body makes naturally, if I'm doing something to supplement to help that out, I'll usually go 5 days on, 2 days off. So I give the body a little bit extra, then I go off it. So Monday through Friday, kicking butt. Weekends, I'm just like, okay, I don't take all the things.
And then you're sitting there wide awake. You're like, I should have taken that damn melatonin. Okay, so let's, we're pretty much wrapping up.
I think we hit everything on here.
I think we did hit everything on there.
Yeah.
Talk to me about I know you got some big things coming up. You got an event coming up on the 28th of February, and this is going to be dropping this Thursday. I don't even know what day that is because I've been taking antihistamines. So talk to us about that event and what you guys are going to be doing there.
Okay, so we actually have two events coming up. We have one February 23rd, which is this weekend, which is called Sunday for the Ladies. It's our Galentine. So this is for women out there that want to come in.
Hey, I'll be there.
Have a spa day for your brain and your body. And you can hit us up on Instagram if you're interested in that. And then we have another event really for the mind, the body, finding your purpose, living the life that you truly desire. And that is on February 28th. It's from 9:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock. It's going to be in downtown Bakersfield. This is going to be an elevated experience. The reason I do these events and I wanted to start doing these events in Bakersfield is because I feel like I'm always traveling out of town to get these experiences. And so we should be having them here. This should be normalized. And so literally you'll walk in one person, you'll walk out another, and you'll have a game plan with where you're going in your life. You'll have mentorship and a support system around you.
And where can people sign up for this?
They can send us a message on Instagram, on the Dr. Anna Marie website. They can always call at Happy Whole You, send a text. You'll find us.
Instagram, where can they find you?
So at Happy Whole You is the brick and mortar here. And then my personal Instagram is dr.anna.marie. on Instagram, and then LinkedIn as well. Anna Marie on there, and
Basically, if
just
they find
Google
you
it.
on Insta, you
Yeah.
just Google it. I
We
always
got a
tell people,
podcast too. You can go check out. Got it all.
They're like, where can we? And I'm like, just Google it.
Just
It's
Google it.
2025.
You'll
What are
find
you?
it.
What are you doing, sweetheart? Dr. Anna Marie, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is one of those interviews that I was really looking forward to, simply because I think, as a guy who has to look at the world just based on the audience of the podcast, I look at the world through women. My sister is a great guiding light in this whole thing. My sister she's 1 year older than I am. She's a married mother of 2. And I'll explain later why I hesitated on there, but she's a mother of 2. So it really, I always tell her, I was like, if you find something interesting, something you're watching on Netflix, something that you care about, with the Ozempic stuff, like all this stuff, she gives me like great ideas. So I was like, you answered a lot of the questions that I think women have curiosity about, and I think they're going to want to learn more. So I thank you for your time. I think it's important. There's people that need to be have more exposure in the community. You're certainly one of those, and I'm glad that we took time to do this. So thank you so much for coming on. I love you. Say it back. Very different style of podcast. Normally, I'm bragging about how I just did a bidet in Lake Tahoe, and I don't mean to brag or anything, but I got a little bit of credibility too. I used the bidet.
Bidets are great.
They're
Yes.
fantastic. So, again, thank you for coming on. Listen to the podcast and check them out. Happy Whole You, downtown Bakersfield. I love you. Say it back. It's the podcast. Y'all have a great night. Sleep good. Que soy con los angelitos. I love you. Say it back. See ya. And we stayed on.
You got nervous.